From advertising to software as a service to data.
Across all of our programs and clients, we've seen a 55 to 65% open rate.
Getting brands authentically integrated into content performs better than TV advertising.
Typical lifespan of an article is about 24 to 36 hours.
If we're reaching out to the right person with the right message and a clear call to action, then it's just a matter of timing.
Welcome to the MarTech podcast, and I Hear Everything production. In this podcast, you'll hear the stories of world-class marketers that use technology to drive business results and achieve career success. We'll unearth the real-world experiences of some of the brightest minds in the marketing and technology space so you can learn the tools, tips, and tricks they've learned along the way. Now here's the host of the MarTech podcast, Benjamin Shapiro.
Welcome to the MarTech podcast. I'm your host, Benjamin Shapiro, and today we're going to discuss automation and MarTech tools. Joining us is Aytekin, who is the founder and CEO of Jotform, which is a leading SaaS online forms company. Aytekin is also a Wall Street Journal bestselling author who has grown Jotform to be used by 20 million customers, and they have over 500 employees without a dime of funding. He's also the author of Automate Your Busy Work, which tells you how to do less, achieve more, and save your brain for the big stuff. And in addition to providing us with our guest today, Jotform is also a sponsor of the MarTech podcast. Yesterday, Aytekin and I talked about the process of automating your busy work, and today we're going to continue the conversation talking about how to use MarTech tools for deep thought work. All right, here's the second part of my conversation with Aytekin, the founder and CEO of Jotform and the author of Automate Your Busy Work. Aytekin, welcome back to the MarTech podcast.
Hello, Ben. Great to be on your show again.
Excited to have you back here and continue our conversation. Yesterday we talked a lot about your book, Automate Your Busy Work, and the process for understanding what you need to automate, basically finding the problem, figuring ways to build a system or solution to help take the busy work off of your plate, and then implementing changes and optimizing over time. And the goal here is to focus on your P1s, on the stuff that actually matters, what we're calling the deep thought work. Something you need to sit down and actually use your brain, just not tap your fingers on a keyboard. Of course, nothing goes without a good MarTech tool, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on ways when you're doing your deep work. Are you using MarTech tools, pen, paper, cave writings on the wall? What are we doing here? How are you using technology to facilitate your deep work once you've got the busy work out of the way?
So what I do is every morning when I'm ready to work, so basically I send my kids to school, I go to gym, take a shower and have my fresh brew coffee in my hands. I'm ready for the work. I'm really excited about the work and I'm really excited about doing the deep work. And mornings are a really good time for me because in the mornings I feel fresh. I feel like I can accomplish a lot. I have the most energy for the day. So every morning when I'm ready for the work, it's really important what I don't do as well. It's not just what I do, but it's also what I don't do. I don't check my emails. I don't check the Slack messages. I don't check notifications. I'm always on silent. My computer, always my notifications on silent. On my phone, same way. And I don't check the news, definitely don't check the news. And what I will do is I actually use this product called IA Writer. It's a text editor, but it's a good one. But what I like about it is I can make it full screen, completely black. So I have this really nice Mac screen and I have this full black screen and I only have this blinking cursor. You feel more creative when you start fresh. I always try to keep my table empty as well. When you have clutter around your computer, it's hard to feel creative. So I start my day by journaling. So it's called morning pages. And I start typing whatever comes to my mind. This is great because some days I don't know what I should be working on. What's the most important thing for me to work on? And in those days, just writing things down. As I keep writing in the third paragraph, I will actually start to feel like all the other things in my mind is just going away. And just one most important thing is actually on my mind. And it's becoming more clear for me. And as I get to that, I actually feel excited about the work and I know what I should be working on. And then whatever it is, I start working on that. Like it could be working on a chapter for my book. It could be a strategy for my business, a problem. Maybe I'm just going to dive into like, we have hundreds of dashboards. We have a data team at Jotform and we build our own dashboards and all these marketing dashboards.
You have so many dashboards. You've built dashboards for how many dashboards you need to create.
Yeah, definitely. You need dashboards for dashboards. So it's easier to find the dashboard. And what I like to do is like just look at the breakdowns, look at the numbers and try to figure out something and really think about the solution. And when you start thinking about things, it's actually you find different approaches. So one of the things, we had this problem, we have too many bugs. We are keeping track of bugs and we are not reducing them. So when I was thinking about it, we were too much focused on the total number of bugs we have. I thought instead of focusing on that, what if we focused on new created bugs, like new bugs that are coming to us? So if we can, on an area in our product, if we can actually reduce the number of new bugs created, I think that's the solution. Like most of the time when we are fixing a bug, maybe we are not doing a good job. Maybe we are just fixing some case and we are not actually fixing the root cause of that bug on our product. What if we actually, instead of doing that, we decide, okay, in each different feature of our product, we track how many new bugs are created every day, every week, every month. And then we actually try to reduce that number instead of trying to reduce the total number of bugs. And looking at it that way from a different approach actually is much more helpful because it helps people find different kind of solutions to problems. So instead of just finding quick fixes and this week we fixed like 10 bugs. Instead of doing that, maybe the team should be just finding permanent problems, the root causes, so that we don't have any bugs on it. So this is just an example to find strategies for problems so that you don't have the same problem again and again in the future. And finding this kind of creative solutions require deep work, require time box in it. And for me, the time box is usually like 10 to noon. Those 2 hours are my most creative hours. I try to spend those hours time boxing and trying to find good solutions to the challenges. Or sometimes we have opportunities and we need to decide like how we are going to approach that opportunity. And that worked really well for me so far.
So I hear you in the sense of you're using technology to facilitate your journaling. Journaling is an incredibly powerful process. And I think that often when we think about being productive, we think about checking off boxes as opposed to stopping and thinking about what actually needs to get done or where we are in time and space. And putting pen to paper, or in your case, using a writing tool to help you get the things that are in your head out. Often, sometimes it's like looking in the mirror. It's reflecting back what you're thinking so you can see it, and then you could figure out a plan. What are some other technology solutions you're using? You mentioned you had dashboards where you're looking at your numbers, you're counting the number of bugs you used in your customer service or your development queue. What are the other technology solutions that you do to help you facilitate the actual deep thought work?
Before I get to that, I want to recommend a book called Systems Thinking, written by Danielle Meadows. And I think it's really important to understand that everything in the world is a system. And if you understand the relationship between cause and effect, like leverage points in the systems, feedback loops, things like that, when you understand the systems, the tools you use are not that important. What really is important is being able to really make a change in the system, being able to make a change in the system in your favor. And that's actually why we have the dashboard, because dashboards kind of provide a view of the systems, like what's going on. How are we getting the organic traffic we have? For example, on which pages we are getting traffic from Google, on which pages, like where do we get this traffic from and how do we get this traffic from? Like what actions we take result in new signups, new active users, new paid users in our sales product. And to be able to do that, we need to understand how we are getting these people, how we are reaching to people and getting them to know Jotform and how we can make our product more viral. As for the marketing tools, I think as a company, we actually do prefer building our own tools more than maybe it's good for us. But we are a very engineering-oriented company, and we prefer to build our own tools because it actually gives us a lot of freedom. And it allows us to integrate all the tools we have. Like I mentioned, the bugs. So we built our own support system. We built our bug tracking system. So basically, we are able to connect all these different kind of tools together, and we are able to do more when we decide to do something. We are able to change it more easily.
So when we talk about tools, what I'm hearing from you is there's a process. And you mentioned that everything is a system. So I think it's probably challenging to answer what specific MarTech tools you used for deep thought work. We use Monday for our production process. I also use it for our long-range planning, our short-term planning. Whenever I have a task, I put it into Monday. Whenever I have a project, I start to aggregate things in tasks. It doesn't really matter what tools you're using. What matters is that you're building systems. And I think it's one of the things that I appreciate the most about your philosophy and your work is that with every problem, there is a root cause and then there is a solution. And sometimes the solution doesn't actually address the root cause. So sometimes you can go and help your customer and uncheck the box that got checked off. But if you don't understand what caused the underlying problem, you're just going to end up having that happen again. Getting to the root cause and using your technology to identify what is actually fundamentally causing the problem, and then building systems around yourself to protect it from bubbling up and becoming a problem again is really the trick to automation. And that wraps up this episode of the MarTech Podcast. Thanks for listening to my conversation with Aytekin Tank, the founder and CEO of Jotform and the author of Automate Your Busy Work. If you'd like to get in touch with Aytekin, you can find a link to his LinkedIn profile in our show notes. You can contact him on Twitter. His handle is Aytekin Tank. That's AYTEKINTANK. Or you can visit his company's website, which is jotform.com. And if you're interested in reading the Automate Your Busy Work book, you can get the first chapter for free at aytekintank.com. Again, it's AYTEKINTANK.com. Just one more link in our show notes I'd like to tell you about. If you didn't have a chance to take notes while you were listening to this podcast, head over to martechpod.com where we have summaries of all of our episodes and contact information for our guests. You can also subscribe to our weekly newsletter, and you can even apply to be the next guest speaker on the MarTech Podcast. Of course, you can always reach out on social media. Our handle is MarTechPod, MarTechPod, on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, or you can contact me directly on LinkedIn. My handle is Ben J. Shap, BenJShap. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you want a daily stream of marketing and technology knowledge in your podcast feed, we're going to publish an episode every day this year. So hit the subscribe button in your podcast app and we'll be back in your feed tomorrow morning. All right, that's it for today. But until next time, my advice is to just focus on keeping your customers happy.